video or a stream. It's been a little bit, been very busy with a couple things behind the scenes there, but hopefully now I can get back into a regular rhythm of making content and doing a couple things here. So I'm sure those of you that are wrestling fans, and I know this is a bit of an impromptu stream, so I don't really expect too many people to watch it, but hopefully some people will watch it afterwards because I think I'll leave this one up. But if you're a wrestling fan, you've probably already heard of this news after the Darkside of the Ring episode had aired, that people were attempting to, well, the internet was attempting to cancel Ric Flair and Tommy Dreamer. Of course, Ric Flair, because of the accusations made against him. That at this point, this is something I found surprising because as a longtime wrestling fan, I remember hearing about all this back when it happened. And, I'm just surprised that, well, I am and I'm not, because this has been public knowledge for a long time, but it's funny that people want to get up in arms about it now. I think is quite interesting considering this has been pretty much public knowledge. I mean, maybe people didn't know the extent because of what this lady says, but here's one thing I will say right off the bat. And I think it's important because I think it's something a lot of people are forgetting. These are allegations. Ric Flair was never arrested. He was never charged for anything that he did on that particular flight. Nobody that I know of was charged for anything illicit. The worst that I think happened was some people were fired. There's reprimanded, things like that. Some people were probably fined, but there was no criminal investigation into this, situation that had happened. Of course, I'm talking about the plane ride from hell. And recently, with the airing of the Darkside of the Ring episode, there has been, there's been a little bit of a fallout because of this episode airing. Most notably, the fact that Tommy Dreamer was suspended from Impact Wrestling due to his comments in that particular Darkside of the Ring episode. Now, for anybody that's just tuning in and watching this now, this is not going to be a video where I condemn either man or say anything regarding, I have my opinions on all of that stuff, and that's all this will really be, is just opinions, so take them as you will. I will be bringing up some things that have recently come to light regarding Ric Flair's Accuser. Well, things that happened in the past that are now just kind of resurfacing, because again, look, if this is something that is happening, hey, what's going on, Void? How you doing? If this is something, hey, what's up, Sakura Katana? What's up, Gabe the Gen? If this is something that's happening now, right? We're having people try to cancel Ric Flair again after almost 20 years of this being a lot of what happened being pretty public knowledge. Then I think anything is fair game. Because I mean, if that's the way people are going to play, right? That you're going to dip into everybody's past to see what skeletons are in their closet to try to cancel them. That I think that if you're going to live by that sword, that's got to be one that you're willing to also die by that sword. You know what I mean? Of course, I mean that purely figuratively. But hey, what's up, See the Wave? How you doing? I want to get into it first with this particular story. I'll go ahead and share it here for y'all. Because again, this is something that... and we'll go over a couple different things, and then I'll probably wrap up the stream. This will probably be a short stream tonight. Probably not going to go too long. Probably going to hop on with Crow after this is done, because I believe he's starting an earlier stream tonight, either at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. But let's get into it here, right? So this is an article that was put out by Cage Side Seats, and I'm going to be addressing some points that this article brings up. For those of you that haven't seen the Darkside of the Ring episode, if you want to go ahead and check it out, I know it's up on Vice's channel right now, the Plane Ride from Hell, Darkside of the Ring episode. It's a series that I've watched before. There's some episodes that I've liked more than others, but I believe that some of the episodes, if I'm being honest, have come across to me as hit pieces at certain points in time. Because it's Vice. I mean, but it's probably the best thing that they got going for them right now these days is this series. Some of them are decent. Some of them not as much, in my opinion. It's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to this series. Sometimes I feel they do a particular instance justice. Sometimes I feel like they're definitely trying to push an agenda with certain episodes. But It's neither here nor there. Let's get into this, though. Tommy Dreamer suspended indefinitely by Impact after Darkside of the Ring appearance. Vice's Darkside of the Ring returned last night, September 16th, so this is a couple days old at this point, to start the second half of the documentary show's third season. The episode embedded above focused on the infamous charter flight back to the United States after WWE's 2002 European tour known as the Plane Ride from Hell. The Mayo 2 flight after the Insurrection pay-per-view in London was delayed for hours due to weather conditions at its destination in Connecticut. During that time, the passengers took advantage of an open bar on the plane. What followed was a lot of bad, possibly criminal behavior from the men aboard. Let's see, that resulted in fines, suspensions, firings, and lawsuits that WWE settled before they went to trial. So the most notable firings that happened as a result of this particular incident, the most notable were Kurt Hennig, aka Mr. Perfect, as well as Scott Hall. Now, mind you, this happened back in 2002, and I remember after they were fired, there was news that was starting to come out regarding this plane ride from hell. And over the years, more and more has come out in regards to what happened on this plane ride. A lot of the accounts that have been corroborated by a lot of the wrestlers that were on this flight. A lot of things, some things that you could look at that were kind of funny, other things probably not so funny, some things probably just downright like uncomfortable, I guess you could say. But I'll continue on here. Over the past almost 20 years, the plane ride from hell has been the focus of a lot of reporting, shoot interviews, and even WWE's lighthearted storytime animated series. Two things set Darkside of the Ring's accounting apart. One was the lack of WWE influence on the production. The other was the involvement of Heidi Doyle. Now, I want you to keep this person's name in mind, Heidi Doyle, because we're going to be talking about her a bit here tonight. One of the two flight attendants who filed a lawsuit against the company for how they alleged they were treated while working the flight. The company settled out of court with both women. Let's see here. Allegations that Brock Lesnar and Scott Hall harassed women before and during the flight are mentioned in the latest Darkside of the Ring. Dustin Goldust Rhodes, aka Dustin Runnels, was named in Doyle and Terilyn I don't know if it's Capellanos or Capellanos lawsuit, but this episode only focuses on Rhodes drunkenly serenading his then wife Terry Runnels over the PA system. Okay, so already I got a couple of things to address with this article. Okay, that I think deserves to be specified. The allegations against Brock Lesnar come from Terry Runnels, right? Terry Runnels claims that at the Insurrection pay-per-view that Brock Lesnar exposed himself to her. And apparently Dustin Rhodes was around or there when this happened. And it says his then wife, Terry Runnels, he was drunkenly serenading his then wife, Terry Runnels. This is incorrect. Okay, so already they got something wrong here, because even in the episode itself, they say that Terry Runnels and Dustin Runnels, aka Dustin Rhodes, were divorced at that time. They were already divorced at that time when he was drunkenly serenading her over the PA system. They were already divorced, okay? So that's something they've already gotten wrong. The other thing to mention here is the fact that the allegations against Brock Lesnar that Terry Runnels claims that he exposed himself to her, she claims that Dustin Rhodes told her to basically not say anything about it. Now, for a guy who was willing to go out of his way to drunkenly serenade his ex-wife, I guess in a pathetic attempt to try to win her back, either one of two things here. Why would he then tell her to not say anything to anyone, or even say anything to Brock Lesnar himself if this actually happened? I mean, if he was trying to win his wife back, it just seems, I don't know, maybe he was afraid of Brock. Maybe it's possible. Maybe he just didn't want to step to Brock. Maybe he felt that Brock was just in a higher position at that particular point in time, because Brock was getting a huge push at the time. So maybe that played into it. But I just find that interesting that, Dustin Rhodes would not say anything, would tell her to be like, hey, just don't say nothing. Hey, what's up, Solid Redfield? It just seems a little strange to me, but maybe there's another part of the story that I don't know about. But that's just my opinion. That's just me just kind of looking at the situation from an outsider's perspective. But the most daring allegations are against the legendary Ric Flair. Flair has repeatedly denied that he harassed or assaulted anyone on the flight, and when asked about the upcoming Dark Side of the Ring episode, recently told Renee Paquette, I don't know if that's Paquette or Paquette. We'll see how it plays out because I was there and I don't care whose name I got to drop. If the heat falls on me, I know who is there and what and who and what took place. I know the whole story. So I think that the reason why Ric Flair was preempting this is because obviously there was a lawsuit back in the day. Heidi Doyle and Terlin, their lawsuit against the WWE, in which they ended up settling out of court. So I think he knew that this was going to surface again. And Ric Flair, since this incident occurred, has vehemently denied that these accounts that these people are telling, that these women are telling, did not happen. So just put that out there. But we get now to Doyle's account. Is that Flair, wearing only his signature robe, cornered her in the plane's galley, exposed himself, and forced her to touch him. He had me back against the back door, and I couldn't move. I couldn't get away from him. I couldn't move. I was spinning around, or he was spinning around his little nature boy, and he wanted me to touch it. He took my hand and put it on him. As disturbing as that story is, and it obviously is still a traumatic memory for Doyle, almost as disturbing as how accepted this behavior seems to have been. Vince and Linda McMahon were on this plane. Okay, so let me specify something here. And this is something that's actually in the Dark Side of the Ring episode. At no point in time do any of the people that appear in this Dark Side of the Ring episode that witnessed witnessed or were giving their accounts of what happened, at no point in time do any of them mention that Linda or Vince McMahon, hey, what's up, T3? At no point in time do they mention that Linda or Vince McMahon witnessed any of this happen, or that Linda or Vince McMahon reprimanded anybody, or that they were there. So my understanding is that they were in the front of the plane, away, isolated in their own part of the plane, away from where all these shenanigans were taking place. Jim Ross was the one that was responsible for the boys. And he was the one that was expected to reprimand, to make sure everybody was doing what they were supposed to be doing, behaving the way they were supposed to be behaving. So I think it's important to just clarify that. Jim Ross, Rob Van Dam, Tommy Dreamer, and PJ Just Incredible Polanco were all interviewed for Dark Side of the Ring, and none deny that what Doyle says happened actually happened. Okay, so this is another part of the article I don't care for, because it seems like they're making the implication that, they didn't deny it, so what she says is absolutely true, which I don't think is really what any of them said. The only person that kind of somewhat backs up Doyle's claim, and only the part that he seems to back up, is the fact that Ric Flair approached one of the flight attendants and was trying to get her to touch him. Now, whether or not, Rob Van Dam did not say that he forced the woman to touch him. He just says that's what it seemed like was happening, or at least that's what he witnessed, right? But nobody else that is in this documentary episode says that, or anything remotely close to that. So I think that's something that is a little disingenuous, to put all these people's names, almost like saying that, almost making the implication there that, hey, well, we're not going to deny it happened. They don't really confirm that happened either, except for maybe Rob Van Dam. You could probably say kind of, sort of, corroborates some of her claim. But the rest of them, not really. They don't really confirm that. As a matter of fact, Just Incredible kind of speaks in generalities. What's up, Anthony Jordan? What's up, Charizard Ranger? So let me get back to this here, and because there's another part I want to address here. JR, then the head of talent relations, says that Flair should have been punished, but wasn't, because he was a made man. Okay, I want to stress this because I think this is very important. JR at no point says that Ric Flair should have been punished. As a matter of fact, he actually says that he doesn't know if him not getting punished was the right thing or wasn't the right thing. The only thing that this was actually JR answering a question, which you could see in the episode himself. They asked him why Ric Flair wasn't suspended or reprimanded, and Jim Ross is just kind of like, well, I guess, he got a pass because he's kind of made in the business. But at no point does JR himself says, well, he should have been punished. JR actually says quite the opposite. He says, look, or I shouldn't say, he says, look, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if it was the right call or not to give him a pass. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. That's what JR actually says. So I think this article kind of misrepresents a couple of things. And I just wanted to point that out because I watched the episode and I did take some notes. But we get on to the next part, right? And this is the thing that kind of had a lot of people, at least online, there was a lot of people in an uproar with Tommy Dreamer over this. So the most upsetting take and the one drawing the most criticism today came from Dreamer. The former ACW star and current Impact producer downplayed Flair's behavior as a rib, dismisses criticism of it as essentially people are too sensitive these days, and infers that if Doyle was as shaken by the incident as she says, she should have filed criminal charges. She says in the episode that her husband encouraged her to take the settlement from WWE to keep the matter from becoming public and to protect their daughter. That is partially true of what Doyle says, but we'll get to that. We'll come right back up to this stuff here. I just want to go over the stuff that Tommy Dreamer said. So this is what Dreamer said. He's just flaunting, styling, and profiling like Ric Flair's stuff where everybody's going to laugh about it. Obviously, somebody took offense to it. I feel that this is trying to portray someone as an S-predator, and it's not. It's a joke. It's a gag, and today 1,000% inappropriate. This is the one thing that I would disagree with Tommy Dreamer on. Ric Flair walking around stark naked in nothing but his robe. If it was just among the guys in the locker room, whatever, I mean, I would still think it's not the most appropriate thing to do. But you have to also consider the fact that these guys have access to an open bar. A lot of them have already started heavily drinking and are probably inebriated. On top of the fact that some of them also have, and again, not that I'm saying that this would excuse any of this behavior, but some of them also have probably a cocktail of illicit drugs in their system. So, that all factors into this. So that's just something to consider, right? So I would even say by the standards of back then, it was inappropriate. Obviously, somebody's going to take offense if they're not one of the guys and they see you. They might take offense if they see you stark naked and they don't know you from Adam and they're like, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? But I digress. So my hairstyle is inappropriate right now. Am I somehow offending someone right now with my double ponytail? How dare I have two ponytails? My answer is I'm 50 years old and I'm happy I have hair. But if you're asking me, I've hung out with Ric Flair. I've never seen him try to force his will against anybody. And that's probably true, right? Maybe Tommy Dreamer has never witnessed anything to that effect. He obviously didn't witness that. Or I think it's safe to assume he didn't witness that on that flight. But Rob Van Dam's perception of the situation might have been different. Okay. The other thing too is I can understand why people got upset and would feel that this is kind of trivializing whatever experience this woman went through, if she did actually go through that experience. Because again, these are just allegations. It's her word against his. And while she might have Rob Van Dam corroborating some of what she says, that's not to say that that's 100% what happened. There's always more nuance to situations like this. So keep that in mind. So this is if that's how Doyle felt, maybe she shouldn't have taken a payout and went to the fullest extent of the law, then put this heinous person in jail, my opinion, which I think Tommy Dreamer is fully entitled to that opinion. And I actually don't disagree with that opinion. Now, the rest of the stuff, I understand. Like I said, most people might look at that and see that it's callous. And also they could look at that and say, well, the other stuff he said was callous and insensitive. Okay, that's fair. But again, and we'll get back to Heidi Doyle, how do we know that she's 100% telling the truth? We don't. It's her word against Ric Flair's word. And like I said, she has Rob Van Dam partially corroborating some of the stuff she said in terms of, hey, Rob Van Dam said it looks like that's what he was trying to get her to do. She says that that's exactly what he did. But, do we know with 100% certainty? No, we don't. So trending on Twitter since the episode aired, Dreamer, real name Thomas Laughlin, has also now been suspended by Impact as a result of his comments in Flair's defense. The company issued a statement to Post Wrestling's John Pollock. We are aware of Mr. Laughlin's, Tommy Dreamer's, comments on Darkside of the Ring. The views expressed by him in the interview are completely unacceptable. We can confirm Mr. Laughlin was suspended this morning with immediate effect pending further action. Dreamer's future in Sirius XM Busted Wide Open Radio is also in question after his comments on Darkside of the Ring. Okay, so a couple things that I want to talk about before we get to Heidi Doyle is that Could Tommy Dreamer be an insensitive, callous prick? Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it's possible that the parts that they used in this particular Dark Side of the Ring episode are completely out of context. And I say this because I have also been in a documentary series myself. I sat down for an interview that was 2 hours long, and they used maybe a little less than 5 minutes of the footage that they actually shot with me for that episode out of sequential order in the episode. Okay? There was something that they put in the episode that I was in of The Toys That Made Us that was completely missing context. Okay? Because when they work on these productions, they're looking to just paint whatever narrative that they're going to paint. Now, I don't begrudge them for that. I get it. I understand that. And I knew that when I signed that release form, that was going to be one of the possible outcomes of them using any of the footage that I was going to be in. So to me, I look at this situation with a little bit more nuance because of that. I don't believe that what Tommy Dreamer said in that episode on its face should be enough to cancel Tommy Dreamer. I don't think that that's fair to Tommy Dreamer. But you got to understand, when you're getting in bed, especially with a company like Vice, who's doing something like this, and you sign that release form, you have to know that this is one of the risks involved, that they're trying to paint whatever narrative they want to paint. And the more sensationalism, the better for these kind of companies. That's what they do. You know what I mean? Because Tommy could have said something that was completely, kosher, right? Something that was completely not offensive right after that, or clarified his point a little bit better so it wouldn't sound as bad, but we won't ever know that unless Vice releases his entire interview, which they probably won't. I don't think that this is something that Tommy Dreamer should be fired over. But in this day and age where, all it takes is a vocal minority of people to make a lot of noise on Twitter or whatever social media platform they're a part of, it's not surprising, unfortunately. It's a shame. I do believe that Tommy Dreamer might have been taken out of context. That's just my opinion, though. I don't know that for a fact. Maybe if we see the full interview in context, maybe it's a whole lot worse. But given what I've seen with a lot of the reality shows that I've watched in the past, documentaries and things like that, I tend to think that the most explosive stuff, the stuff that's going to make somebody look the worst, is usually the stuff that's chosen, because then it's controversial and it brings more attention to the presentation, to the production. So, I'm not, like I said, you could look it on the face and say, look, maybe it's all, it's all insensitive and Tommy Dreamer's a prick. And maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know, but I'm not going to condemn the guy without knowing the full context of these interviews. Does it look bad on the surface? Sure. But anybody could be made bad to look on the surface when they're edited to look that way. So just keep that in mind. Now let's get to Heidi Doyle for a moment here, because there's some stuff that has come out about her that I find to be interesting. And I want to go back to just this one thing that she says in the episode, that her husband encouraged her to take the settlement from WWE to keep the matter from becoming public and to protect their daughter. Funny how they write this article and they leave out a little bit of context. I want to show you guys that particular part of the episode. I don't want to show too much because I don't want Vice coming after me for copyright or anything like that, even though I'm totally within fair use right now for doing this. But I put on the the captions here so that you all can read what she actually says here. Okay, so let me go back just a sec here, and let me just give me a sec. So
and then move on.
Okay, move on. All right, so right here, listen to what she says here. And I want you to pay close attention. All right.
There was an agreement that was reached, and they offered us a settlement. My husband just didn't want the story told to the public, maybe just to protect our daughter or himself. I said.
You see that? You see that? You see this right here? Maybe He didn't want the story. Her husband didn't want the story to be told public to protect us or himself, us, or, to protect our daughter or himself, us. I don't know. I find that to be an interesting choice of words. Does that mean that she's up to something bad, nefarious? I don't know. I just found it very interesting that they didn't put that in the article. You know what I mean? Now, is it possible that the husband didn't want the story to be told public because he did want to protect their daughter? Maybe. That's absolutely possible. Maybe, it would make sense, right? You don't want, especially once your daughter starts going to school, you don't want to be the kid known as the kid whose mom sued the WWE, right? So maybe that's possible. Maybe it was to protect the family from any kind of public scrutiny, just to keep him out of the limelight. That's possible. Himself, that's interesting to me, right? Because what is he? Is he a person that has a high public profile? Would this be something that would harm his career? I don't know. I just found that to be interesting because it almost comes across that she said, because here's the thing. How do you not know, being married to him, right, why he would ask you to take that settlement? I would think that would be pretty easy to answer, that you would say, well, he did it to protect our daughter, or he did it to protect us. Why is it you don't know? Protect us, protect our daughter, protect himself. What? That's kind of weird. Why wouldn't he need to protect himself? And because to me, this kind of comes across like, or at least to me, this is just my opinion now, it comes across almost like she holds him responsible. It's his fault, so to speak, that they took the settlement. Mike Walters, thank you for the 5. I appreciate it, buddy. Hey, John, good to see you streaming after all this time. When you're all done here, I invite everyone to get some niche news on my channel. Talk to you later. All right. Appreciate that, Mike Walters. But I just found this interesting that she said that she mentioned this. I don't know. Maybe her husband and her are still together. Maybe they're not. Just an interesting choice of words on her part. And not that necessarily means anything, but I just thought it was an interesting choice of words. And I just wanted to point that out because the article does not talk about that. But here's another thing that I want to show you guys real quick that I also found to be quite interesting. And that is this. All right, let me bring this up real quick. Ric Flair accuser Heidi Doyle stole $80,000 worth of jewelry. Ric Flair accuser Heidi Doyle stole $80,000 worth of jewelry. Those who have watched the newest season 3 episode of Darkside of the Ring about the infamous 2002 plane ride from hell know who Heidi Doyle is. She's the stewardess on board of the Boeing 757 who claimed old school WCW WWF legend Ric Flair as harassed her by flashing her and putting her hand on his little nature boy. Ever since such allegations started in 2002, the nature boy always claimed that there was no truth to Heidi's story whatsoever. A group of pro wrestling fans did some research on her and discovered that Mrs. Doyle actually has a criminal record after stealing $80,000 worth of jewelry in 2016 with a man named Rob Scott. So here's what Oside News reported on them. New photos video of 2 suspected of taking $80,000 in jewelry. In Encinitas, California, San Diego Crime Stoppers and investigators from the North Coastal Sheriff's Station are asking for the public's help to locate a man and a woman wanted in connection with 2 burglaries at an Encinitas store. The burglaries happened in August 20th and September 2nd, and I believe this was back in 2016 or 2015. All right. At Consignment Classics at South El Camino, Real, $80,000 in jewelry was stolen during the thefts. New surveillance video shows a woman wearing a black jumpsuit casing the store the day of the second burglary. It's believed the suspects in this case are Rob Scott and Heidi Doyle. They may be traveling in a gold 2009 Volkswagen EOS with California license plate number, which I'm not going to emphasize there because I don't know if it's probably not a license plate that either of them have anymore, but just in case. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Rob Scott and Heidi Doyle should call the North Coastal Sheriff's Station or Crime Stoppers Anonymous tip line. Crime Stop is saying that they're offering a reward in the case, but here's the more interesting part, right? They were later arrested. The Chicago Tribune reported the following about about it. Rob Scott, 53, was taken into custody in Nevada, and Heidi Doyle turned herself in at San Diego County Sheriff's Department station in Encinitas, sheriff's officials say. The two face charges of commercial burglary. Doyle was also booked into jail on charges of identity theft and writing fake checks. Very interesting. Anthony Jordan, thank you for the $2. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for talking sense on this. Well, yeah, all these situations, you can't, like, I try not to jump to conclusions when I first hear about any of these situations, because I feel there's always more to the story, right? And that's the thing. Look, does this mean that Heidi Doyle is lying about what happened to her in regards to Ric Flair? Not necessarily. But at the same time, I think that it's fair to question the validity of her claims based on the fact that she apparently has a criminal history. Now, this happened well after what she alleged to have happened with Ric Flair happened, but we don't know the kind of person this is. And this is something, again, that you have to take into account, because this is her character, right? This is her, we have to look at her credibility. And we have to think about the potential that maybe her credibility is not so great. For all we know, it was completely her idea to do the lawsuit, right? We don't know that. Of course, that's just speculation. We don't know. I don't know that for a fact, right? I don't know if she saw an easy mark in Ric Flair, who, again, not that I'm dismissing what Ric Flair did. I think Ric Flair, regardless of where he is, should keep his damn clothes on and not have little nature boy out. That's just my opinion. I don't think that's something anybody really wanted to see. I don't think anybody wanted to see a 50-plus-year-old man walking around stark naked with his little nature boy out. But it's something that he does, apparently, when he parties with his friends. But again, for all we know, and again, I'm not saying beyond a shadow of a doubt with any kind of certainty, we don't know if this lady saw the potential for an opportunity here. Now, she also claims that Scott Hall licked her face and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Scott Hall was under the influence of a drug, I believe, called Halcyon, which some of the side effects include, I'll bring that up real quick, because a lot of them claim they were on Halcyon. Halcyon apparently knocks you out, but it does have some other effects, which I'll go over right now. The other, I should also mention this, the other flight attendant mentioned the fact that Dustin Rhodes, aka Dustin Runnels, supposedly said some illicit things to her, how he was going to do her or something like that. And he meant that in the, in the procreation nature, in the getting involved in the intercourse nature is what she claims. Don't know. I mean, maybe that's true. I don't know. But a lot of them were apparently using this drug to go to sleep. Some of them were going to sleep. But some of the side effects, and this is the part that I really want to key in on, especially when you mix it with alcohol, right? Here are some of the side effects that come with mixing it with alcohol: aggression, blurred vision, confusion, depression, fainting, hallucinations, memory loss, muscle weakness and cramps, nausea and vomiting, slurred speech, thoughts of tremors, and some of the other. These are the side effects in regards to just more of the common side effects when it's not mixed with stuff: headache, indigestion, irritability, lightheadedness, loss of coordination, nervousness, sensation of numbness, and tingling. So Scott Hall claims he doesn't recall what happened on that flight. He was mixing it with alcohol, and one of the side effects when it is mixed with alcohol is memory loss. So if he did indeed lick her face, like she claims, it is possible that he really does not remember it happening because of the influence that he was under. And they did say that his speech, people that saw his condition did say his speech was slurred, but he was knocked out apparently for a good portion of the flight. Now, does that excuse his behavior if he did in fact did do these things? No, because we know, as we know, the law, under the law, it would not absolve you of any kind of guilt. But again, just something to take into consideration. And again, the fact that we don't know for sure. So I just thought I should bring that up there. But yeah, I guess I'm going to go ahead and start closing out the stream here. But I guess in conclusion, what I would say is don't believe everything just on the face. I mean, it's not to say that any of these women's claims are completely false. I don't know. But like I said, I think people need to approach these situations with a little bit more nuance. They need to look at a situation and really ask questions, because we don't know for a fact that any of this. What we do know for a fact are the things that are confirmed, right? For a fact, Ric Flair did walk around stark naked in a robe. For a fact, we do know that Ric Flair was basically spinning around his little nature boy like a helicopter blade. Apparently, that's a skill that he does have, or a talent that he has. I don't know, whatever you call it. But we know that these things happen, right? And maybe there is a lot of, there's obviously some truth to what is being said in regards to that. As far as Ric Flair forcing her to touch him, that's her account. Flair vehemently denies that. As for the rest, I don't know. And I'm not sure that we'll ever truly know. There's always going to be two sides to every story. And even if there's some corroboration, we don't know what we don't know, is what I would say. And I guess we just have to see how things are going to play out from this point on. Like I said, I don't think that in regards to Ric Flair, we'll see how things shake out with him. But as far as Tommy Dreamer goes, I think that it's not fair to throw Tommy Dreamer under the bus without knowing the full context of what he said. And I know that he has come out publicly and apologized. I've seen that already. I did his tweets that he put out. He might not remember the entire interview, because the interview that I was in, I don't remember every single thing I was asked. I remember a lot of the things I was asked, but if you were to ask me, do you remember every single question you were asked in the course of that almost 2 hours? Do you remember every question that you were asked? And do you remember every answer that you gave for that question? I would tell you, no, I do not. You know what I mean? So Tommy Dreamer was probably second guessing himself, knowing like, oh shit, I mean, I don't know how I answered all these questions. You know what I mean? But I would say that I don't think it's fair to just jump to the conclusion that without the full context of how he answered everything, that he's just this insensitive, just a complete jerk that's insensitive and is devoid of any kind of empathy or sympathy for a person. I don't think that's fair. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Y'all draw your own conclusions. Like I said, I don't know for a fact either way. This has just been largely just my opinion looking at the situation. Let me know what you guys think. I know a lot of you have said in the chat, but if you guys want to leave a comment, go ahead and do so. Hopefully I can get back to making videos regularly again here pretty soon. But I just want to talk about this because this is something that I did want to cover in a video, but I felt like I wasn't doing it enough justice just talking about it in a video. I wanted to discuss it a little bit further. So hopefully I have, and maybe more information is going to come out. We'll see. But yeah, I guess this is where we're at. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you so much, Anthony Jordan. Thank you so much, Mike Walters, for the super chats. Mike Walters, you are the stream daddy. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Charizard Ranger, T3 Podcast, Solid Redfield, Sakura Katana, Gabe the Gen, Void, everybody who joined the stream. If I missed you, I apologize. Italo, thank you. Appreciate you guys. I'll probably join Crow's stream here tonight. So just check me out on the Crows of Judgment channel. I'll probably hop on with him and talk with him for a bit after this. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.